Hi and welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Twin Murders, The Silence of the White City. A detective returns to Victoria Gasteiz to solve murders mimicking those allegedly committed by a serial killer who's about to be released from prison. I wasn't sure about this film at all. I had seen the trailer and I thought, well, that looks interesting, it could be good. And right from the outside, when I started watching, I was like, this reminds me of Seven. From the color palette, the look, the way the story goes, it all reminds me of Seven. Obviously, it's been a long time since Seven's been out with the Brad Pitt. Don't look at the box. But I actually have to say, I really enjoyed this film. It was very intriguing, very watchable. It's very tense. A lot of varies in there. It's very much a cat and mouse game. You have this serial killer who kills in very clever ways. And I love getting a villain in a film or a series where the villain is actually very intelligent and you as a viewer have to go along with the detectives or the detective to figure out and try and outsmart the villain. In this case, a very evil, I think it's safe to say evil serial killer. The way the killer does killings is pretty grotesque. It's not something I've seen before, and I was a little bit squeamish when I saw what was happening. But it's also very artistic. I love the palette of the whole film itself. It's very cinematic. I could have easily have watched this at the cinema. It feels very noir, very deep dark tones but colorful and vibrant. The city itself where it's shot, the architecture and the shots they use, just the shot selection, the director was obviously very precise of what he wanted to show, when he wanted to show, and it very much furthered the film on in the way that you would expect. This type of film, it does touch on a few tropes of this kind of genre, but it keeps it really interesting because of the way the color is saturated. Those images are very vibrant for you to watch, and it puts you in the atmosphere and it puts you in the moment with the detectives. They go through a lot of turmoil in their characters, and there's this character development that's done through past sequences, what's happened in the past. It's a very broken protagonist, this detective Javier, the actor, I believe, and he does it very well. In fact, I like the counterparts, the other detectives as well. This one particular female detective who she bites her nails, and it's a subtlety that she adds to her actor, but you get why she does that. And I love subtleties in acting, especially when it really adds another dimension to a character. When you get to feel for the characters, it's because they developed their own characters. So the director will direct in certain ways. They'll tell, like, please can you show me this shot, please can you do this, please can you put this emotion forward onto camera. But then it's up to the actors to really create something within each of their own characters. And I feel like each actor, especially the main protagonist here, the villains and the good guys, really got to grips with their own character and gave us something that's quite meaty, quite tasty, so that you feel what they're going for. You feel what's happening. So when they show you what's happening with their past, when they show you what's happening now, you are in that story with them. The story itself does take a bit of time to get into the kind of the meat of the story. So it sets up, as per usual, the character sets up what's happened in the past, and the serial killer's been doing stuff for a while and seemingly is back, and so you have this juxtaposition between the cops trying to figure it out, and you have this juxtaposition of the serial killer or the supposed serial killer that is getting out, and you have these two storylines that intertwine with past and present, and it's very well put together. But then you have the shot selection that's so well crafted that it just keeps you present, always within the story. And I thought it was very well crafted and put together, but it does take its time to get into the meat of the story. And I can feel that some people might lose interest a bit in the middle, but if you stick with it, the fruition, the reward, I think, is quite rewarding. Because I didn't guess where it was going to go, and I love the ending. It has a good ending. It's satisfying, not that predictable. There are plot points that are predictable, but as a whole, when it gets to the end, I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I didn't know that was coming, and I really find that interesting when films still today can keep you guessing towards the end. So as in a whole, it's a very well crafted film. The only thing that might put you off when watching this trailer, you'll see that it's subtitles and not in English. And so in the UK, I know a lot of people find it difficult to, well, some of my friends say they find it difficult to read subtitles, so they want to listen to the dubbing. I've listened to some of it in the English dubbing, and So the dubbing in English is fine, but I didn't think it was great. It does take away a bit from what the actors are trying to deliver to you on screen. Problem is, when you're reading the subtitles, because they speak so quickly, you do lose a bit of what's going on screen, because you're reading very quickly and then trying to jump your eyes, unless you can split your concentration, trying to jump your eyes back to the visual storytelling of what they're trying to show you between the dialogue. That was the only thing that kind of took me out of it, because there is a lot of dialogue. It's story driven through dialogue mostly. The visuals are there and very vibrant, but when you need to understand what's going on within the case, which you do need to, you can lose your place a bit, because there's a lot going on and the story has multiple threads for you to finally understand what's happened and why they've done what they've done, who's done what they've done in the end. So you kind of do need to concentrate, but there is a little bit of the expense of missing out what's on screen because you're trying to read very quick. And I watch a lot of anime with my son, and I read a lot of subtitles, so I didn't think that would be an issue for me, but I still struggled a little bit to keep up very quickly. So that's just my only drawback towards that. If you can watch it in the dubbing and it doesn't bother you, maybe try that first. Otherwise, give the subtitles a go, which I did, and I thought it was good. I'm going to give this film a B+. I think it's very well directed, very well acted. The color palette I loved. I loved the architecture and the shot selection of what they chose to further the plot. I thought was very good, very well done, a very intriguing, different story. Well worth a watch. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this film. Have you heard about it? Is this one that you just put on the back burner? Yeah, I think it was very interesting and quite reminiscent of Seven. I kind of want to go back and watch that now. Thanks so much for watching this review, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.